Good afternoon, YouTube. PPS here. It is Friday, 28th. We're already almost in February. Crazy. Um, but we're coming up on the end of the football season. Myself and Monotone about to break down some championship or conference championship football. How you doing, Monotone? How's your week been?
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's been a nice and calm NBA week so far. We're coming off another good NFL week. I'm just excited to stay in the green on this show, and have another great one. We haven't had kind of just us in a little bit. We've had a lot of guests recently, a lot of great cappers on here giving their plays. So it's kind of just back to you and me now to give
I
out
know.
our
What's it
cores.
been? Three
We had
straight,
Vaughn,
four?
we had Brian, we had John, we had a bunch of guys, at least three straight that I can think of off the top of my head. All awesome guests. We appreciate them for coming on. But yeah, it's just us now.
Yeah, I'm excited. We got Jeff in the house here. Ethan in the house. We got a guy. I'm guessing that's Canada. I'm gonna guess. So you're pretty close to me up over here in the Wisconsin area. I mean, Canada ain't that far, which is sad. It's actually sunny though. It's not bad.
I'm getting
Not
some
as cold
snow
as
down here. They're messing with us.
yeah, I know. It's actually nice. The sun is out, which I'm not used to seeing at this point. So I hope that means that we're hopefully it doesn't like stay winter like into like April and stuff. That's usually what ends up happening. And I really don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. We got a guy. So Toronto, he said the snow is pretty bad. Darren in the house here. Some new faces I haven't heard the names of before. So I'm excited to have you guys in here. We should have a pretty good show. I think we have 5 plays. We'll break down both sides. I think you have more plays than me for the first time in a while. So you're going to be rolling 3 out for me. Oh man, you can bring up the Packers. I don't really I'm not a guy that's like I'm a diehard Packer fan and I'll feel it for like a day and a half.
Yeah.
But when I'm like watching games and I'm more into like the Brewers and the Bucks. Like I'm like a part owner of the Packers. I go to a lot of their games, but it's like with just everything that's been happening with this team, it's just been bothering me, And I'm like, I'm just kind of fed up almost. Like, not saying I wouldn't be happy that they won or if they would move on, but like this whole year has just been kind of a weird year for the Packers with all this shit that's been going on with Rodgers and everything. So, I mean, honestly, I don't want to say I'm happy that they're out, but like I'm okay with it just so I don't have to freaking hear about any more of this other stuff. So,
yeah, that's fair. Yep. And I'm just over here beaming, thinking about the 49ers winning last week. It was a great moment for me. I was kind of 1v2 on the show, so felt pretty good to get that victory in. But yeah, we'll keep it going this week.
We'll recap last week quick. We got about 25 people in here. We'll give you guys a little bit more time to pop in. There, Tannehill, longest completions, I believe, did hit, right? Yep. He did have it to A.J. Brown. I did cash the under on Brown, which
crazy under
was nuts. I think Adams had 90.
Yeah, he had 90.
You got hooked.
Yeah.
I lost both my Rodgers ones, but then we ended up cleaning up house on this late game. Gabe Davis over 30.5, easy. This was the only loss, but it was only a quarter unit.
Yeah, for good reason. Got to keep them
Allen
small.
Smoked it. The Heat came through for me at 2 unit there. Mahomes 300, easy. So another profitable week. We take away the Packer week. We're damn near a sweep. So, yeah, I'm excited for this week. I think we have pretty intriguing matchups on both sides. I'm curious if you're going to go back to the Niners. Well, I'm on the fade Niners bandwagon this week. So we'll see how it goes. But we'll start out. We gave guys about 5 minutes to pop in here. We'll start out with Bengals at the Chiefs. Again, if you guys have any questions, pop them into the comments section. We will get to every single one. With it only being 2 games, I'm assuming it's going to be a shorter show than we usually have. So we'll be able to get to pretty much every single question that you guys have. Any prop questions, any DFS stuff. I mean, even if you want to throw some NBA and stuff there, I haven't looked at a ton of it, but we'll give you our opinions on it. But I will swing it over to you first. Thoughts on the game, and then we'll get to some props.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm on Team Chiefs, right? I mean, I don't mean to. I want to surprise you guys. I want to keep the people watching week in and week out on our toes. But there's kind of two consistent things I've done so far this playoffs. It's been bet against the Bengals and it's bet on the 49ers. We'll see if that trend continues in our next game. But yeah, for now, I do like the Chiefs in this game at -7. That hook at 7.5 is a little bit tough in some places, obviously. I think the Bengals can keep it close, though. Joe Burrow has shown every indication that he's the guy. He's here to stay, and we're going to see him come playoff season, I think, every year. He kind of has all those intangibles that you like to see from a quarterback already. So I'm very impressed with what the Bengals are doing. I just think this is a huge kind of class mismatchup we have here. Everyone saw what the Chiefs did last week. It was incredible. They played good football. I think they're going to do it again this week. Curious to do you have a strong side on either side of this game?
I don't really have a spread side. I think the Chiefs win. I think 7's a little bit high for me.
Yeah.
It might be just a teaser spot on the Bengals plus 14 in the over. I like points. I would lead points if anything. I don't think either one of these teams is really going to stop anybody. But I think if someone is going to stop them, it's going to be the Chiefs side. This Bengals offensive line is just so bad. It's so hard to see. Like Tannehill gave them that game last week. Like they shouldn't have even beat them personally. That's my thought behind it. But 9 sacks last week allowed.
Yeah.
And now we're going to have the Chiefs coming in here. You're going to be going into Arrowhead. My biggest thing, though, is, and I thought the spread was honestly going to be wider because of how the game went. That last game when they played each other, the Chiefs just let off the throttle. Like the Chiefs would be on a 10-game win streak if they didn't lose that game. They were up that entire game, double digits for a while. Let off the gas. The Chiefs actually losing that game, I think, helps the spread. So if I'm going to take a side, 100% is probably going to be the Chiefs on just that spread. I just think if I go up to a teaser at 14, I don't think it's going to be a 14-point game. But, man, it's hard to trust a team that literally can't block anybody. I think it's going to be very hard for them to keep pace with the Chiefs when the Chiefs are rolling at home and I just have no faith in this Bengals defense to stop them.
Yeah, no, I don't mind teasers this week as a way to attack this game. If it were me personally, I would tease the Chiefs down rather than the Bengals up. Last week, I talked about win margins a lot. Chiefs are really at the top of the NFL in win margin. When they win real big. So, the Bengals can keep it close. I don't doubt that at all. I actually do think it'll be a good football game. But if I had to tease either side in this game, I probably would be teasing the Chiefs down rather than the Bengals up. But that's just personal preference. Just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there.
Yeah, no, I agree on that. Choose the Chiefs, and I think they could easily cover that. It's just when I have a game of this magnitude and I can get 14 points on a tease, that's just a lot. I mean, you're starting out, they would have to obviously be up pretty quick for me to feel a little bit scared about that. But where I think both of us are going with these props, which will be coming up in a sec, is the back door is always open with this Bengals team being able to score as fast as they do. Obviously, I'm not going to say they're going to score as fast as the Bills or as fast as the Chiefs in that, but we've seen this offense be explosive there, and I'm very excited. I'm reading through the chat here. A lot of people are talking about plays that were pretty close to what we have. So you guys are feeling pretty good on those. I'll go through these questions quick, and then I think your first one is going to talk about most of these. People talking about the Joe Mixon line over 3.5. Anything nice to pair with? I will actually pass this over to you since I think him and Ethan are both talking about that line, and I'll just bring that right over to you and have you take your play.
Yeah, so I played Joe Mixon over 27.5 receiving yards. This one's up at 29 on FanDuel now. I only played it for half a unit. The line's moving in my favor, so I obviously should have played it for a little bit more. I would still play it at 29 and 30 for a full unit. But yeah, I do like receptions too. It's just about paying paying the VIG is a little hard for me. But right now, actually, before the show, I did some research. I am trying to find the best way to either play 3 or 3.5 receptions in kind of a 2-leg parlay situation, because I do think that's a good way to attack it. I do like this mix inside though, and for fairly obvious reasons, a lot of my plays in this game, you guys are going to kind of see are connected. It's I believe the Chiefs win this game, and what comes from that is the Bengals are going to have to fight their way back into it, and it's not going to be on the ground. It's going to be throwing the ball, hitting your stars, and Joe Mixon is a huge part of that. When you're playing from behind or even in a regular game script, you got to have your running back there for those checkdowns. Not every play is going to be a huge downfield shot to Jamar Chase. You got to kind of get those chunk yards. He's 2 for 2 on this number in the playoffs. He's also 3 out of his last 3 games, including the Chiefs. That's kind of the nice. You can't really compare playoff stats to regular season stats, but that regular season game against the Chiefs felt pretty close. 30.5. Yeah, I'd play it there. So, yeah, I like Mixon a lot. I wish this number would stop moving. I actually didn't think it was going to move that much. I thought it was pretty set on 27.5, which is why I obviously saved it for the show, to talk about. We have seen a little bit of movement. I would play it at also at 29 and 30, though. And I also would play the receptions. So I'm looking for the best way to play receptions. I've been waiting to get a Tyler Boyd question. We probably will get one at some point, but I am kind of in favor of attacking Tyler Boyd unders today. So maybe a Mixon 3 catches and Tyler Boyd under 52 receiving yards was something I was looking at on DraftKings, that you can get that kind of 2-leg at -110. I'm still kind of like perfecting the best way I want to play it, but the core piece in all these is Joe Mixon receiving yards. I definitely think he's super involved in this game.
Yeah, I mean, if I would pair that 3.5 with anything, I'd probably take the Chiefs first half money line. I'm sure that's going to probably be like -225, but they've been just coming out with a vengeance early and often. I mean, even in that Bengals game, they were up 20 in that first half. So I would definitely say that would be my lean for a little bit. Part of that juicy part that we can throw in would be that Chiefs first half money line. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of questions in here about that. So I'm glad that we were able to have one already on site here. I'll go into mine. Ours are kind of correlated. So we'll both be trying to talk about that same dude. I'm on Jamar Chase over 85.5. I think this line is just too low. Like I said, he's hit it in 3 of 4. And he's had 100 yards in 3 of his last 6 games as well. Or 4 of his last 6, he's had 100. 3 of those games, he's had 10+ targets. I think the biggest thing that I seen in that Bengals game was they eliminate the run when they're losing. Like there's really no other option, right? They don't try and get sneaky. They don't run draws at all. It's just Burrow's going to get it. Burrow's going to throw it. And obviously Chase has really emerged as that one. I know Higgins was getting that stuff at the end of the year. But we're looking at a guy here in Jamar Chase who has the number 1 matchup advantage this week. He's at 98.4 matchup advantage on Pro Football Focus. Number 2 is Cooper Kupp. And you'd think he's probably close. He's 5% lower. He's at 93.8. So we're getting quite a bit. So that's putting it into perspective where I hate the San Francisco pass defense. And we're still having a 5% matchup advantage in favor of Jamar Chase over the best season of wide receiver we've seen in a long time in Cooper Kupp. I'm just all over this one. Like I said, matchup advantage. He had 266 and 3 touchdowns on these dudes. We've seen his ability to go break one in this one. I like attacking guys with yards after the catch. He had a 72-yard touchdown in their last game. Even a bubble screen last week, he broke for 50 yards. It's just anytime he touches the ball, he is explosive. And that's kind of what I like in a spot like this. I believe his receptions is at 5.5, -150. Don't want to touch that. I think if he gets 5 receptions, he'll crush this line. I have really no issues with this play. I'm honestly thinking about putting it up a little bit more. Like to look at weather a little bit. Would like to kind of dive into it even more. But as of right now, with the information that I have, I think that 85.5 is a steal, and I'm going to throw 1.5 on it now and probably a little bit more later.
Yeah, no argument here. I love Chase, man. We talked about him a little bit on the show last week, and I think all of our opinion was kind of the same. It was like, there's no way you could get me to bet an under on this guy. Like, Chase is so good. He's so locked in. And man, that connection with him and Joe Burrow is so apparent. Like, all season long, I've been kind of team, let's get T. Higgins involved. Let's bet on Tyler Boyd. And if you actually watch this team play, like Joe Burrow, like Tyler Boyd is good. Like he's a good slot receiver. Joe Burrow has absolutely zero interest in throwing to Tyler Boyd. I mean, he's his like fifth or sixth read at this point. Like it really is first look. Can I make something happen with Joe Burrow on almost every play? And that's kind of, you see these relationships form between star quarterbacks and star receivers like all the time. I think we're still getting almost a little bit of value on it because both of these guys are so young, but their connection is so obvious, man. Anytime Chase is on the field, the ball, his first look is really going to Chase out there.
Yeah, that'll bring me right into your play. You have a second play in this where we're talking about the same guy. That's why I kind of said we're going to probably talk about each other like play here quite a bit. But like I said, before you get into yours, just like the ability for him to take a 1 yard pass and take it to 40 makes like that's why these longest receptions ones are so nice, because this dude literally can catch a 2 yard bubble screen and turn it into a 30-yard play pretty easily. This dude is so explosive. He's literally actually gains. To me, I think his route tree has just developed so much this year, whereas usually he was running downfield, doing longer routes, where now he can run the crossing. We've seen him with 10 reception games. I mean, there's literally just sky is the limit on this guy. I'll let you talk about your play here.
Yeah, so longest reception, all the best number now is 27.5 on DraftKings. FanDuel actually moved it to 28.5 and now has the worst market number as opposed to it did have the best, which was what I got at last night. Obviously, like 27.5 just as much. Like I said, just to go over the stats real quick, he's 2 for 2 in the playoffs already on the biggest stage. He obviously hit this number with his 260 receiving yard performance against the Chiefs earlier, probably multiple times during that game. Chase is just such a downfield weapon. You talked about a lot of the great attributes he had when you were talking about him. It's just one of those things that the deciding factor between longest reception and yards for me was simply, I think this Chiefs team obviously knows what it has to stop now. It knows Jamar Chase can't be the guy. He can't do what he did again and then possibly win this game. They just can't let that happen. And it's going to be hard to do that, right? Every team always wants to take up the opposing team's best player away. That's just part of football, part of coaching. Everyone loves to say that about Bill Belichick, but in reality, that's every coach's objective every single week. Bill Belichick just happens to be really good at it. But yeah, so I do think they're going to try their best to limit Chase. But with this, like I said, this is a one play kind of prop, right? We're literally looking at one catch. His whole body of work, he could be doubled every single play of the game. All it takes is one broken coverage, Joe Burrow extending the play with his legs and getting the ball downfield for Chase to hit this number. So I really couldn't get away with this. I really, really like this prop. It's my favorite of the week. Like I said, he's always looking for Chase, and I really do think the Chiefs can do everything in their will, like every possible thing they can think of to stop Chase, and all it takes is one catch downfield. You know what? Burrow likes him in double coverage. Like Burrow loves Jamar Chase. The opportunity will be there. I have a great feeling that this one cashes pretty quickly into the game, maybe first half.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I'm going to bring this one up is I believe the Bills played the Chiefs earlier this year, and Stephon Diggs had that 50-yard touchdown. They doubled him every single, not touchdown, 50-yard play, over-the-shoulder catch.
Mm-hmm.
And then they tried to eliminate him in their last game and did, but what happened? They eliminated him, double-teamed him, and bracketed him so badly that Josh Allen just said, hey, we'll just go somewhere else. You can't do that against these guys, right?
Yeah.
T. Higgins is good. Lazuma is coming up way better than I thought he would be. I mean, Tyler Boyd across the middle just to kind of take that off. Joe Mixon, like Bills were Stephon Diggs heavy, right? You don't have to really worry about Beasley, but you just saw number 3 or 4 receiver and Gabe Davis torch these dudes for 220 and 4 touchdowns. So I think that they're going to learn that if they double hard on Chase, they're going to get destroyed. That secondary is going to get destroyed. I don't think you can double because, like I said, T. Higgins has shown the ability to be a good number two. And that's the biggest thing with me when I'm going for a number one is do they have a guy that can take away the double team? And Higgins will do that. I mean, Higgins could easily drop 200 on these guys too if they're going to try to bracket here. And I don't think that's the best way for them to win. I mean, having maybe a safety over the top for a little bit, but you can't double him the whole game and think that you're going to win this game because they'll just run the ball with Mixon too. Like they've shown that they're fine with the running game too. So I think that that's going to be pretty good. The only thing for my issues with this Bengals team is just that pass block advantage is like minus 40.
Yeah.
And that might help Chase on those quick slants and stuff like that. But I also think that helps us with him getting down and having to pass because that's what I kind of talked about was that second half of that Bengals game was just I would like to look at the game log and see how many carries Mixon had in that game. That would be pretty bad. Yeah, I agree here. I agree with Matthew on that. But did you see these plays? Like their defenders are there. They're there and they're getting cooked. Like the touchdown that Gabe Davis had, that 30-yarder, that's gone viral. That dude just getting torched. That dude literally fell over.
Yeah.
Like it's not a question of knowing the assignment. It's the question of they can't do it. If you bring in Tyrann Mathieu, I get it. It's probably obviously a very big upgrade. But if I'm going to take Tyrann Mathieu playing one time over Jamar Chase, you can't tell me he's guarding him or even having double coverage on him and not having a 30-yard bomb in this game or a 40-yard touchdown pass. You know, it's just they're just that explosive. The chemistry is there that, I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a great comparison, but when people bring up the Honey Badger to me, it kind of reminds me of bringing up JJ Watt. Like it's almost like the person's name value is living higher than their actual performance on the field. Tyrann Mathieu is a good player, no doubt. He's an above average player, and that's Chiefs defense is better with him on the field. But is it significantly better? Like, does that game play out significantly differently with Matthew on the field last week? I have a hard time believing it. And same kind of this week. Wasn't he out there last time they played the Bengals too? And this whole thing happened. I mean, you know, I like the Honey Badger. He's a good player, but that name value's adding a lot. Like, I think people are really like, I think he plays. Technically, he's not in yet. He's in concussion protocol. He still hasn't passed it yet, which is a bit abnormal this late in the week. But it looks like he's going to play. So I don't know. I'm not too worried about the Honey Badger coming back this week.
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely think that it's an overrated name with his past stuff. I mean, how old is this dude? He's pretty up there.
Yeah.
For a position that's usually younger guy driven or newer guys, you know. So I don't really think that's going to be too big of an issue. Thanks, C. Martin. I appreciate the kind comment there. Niner gang in the house. Let's go.
Wonder who he's rooting for in this next section, right?
Teamwork over stars. I would agree in some point. I think I'd still take Jamar Chase as a star on my team than a good team, you know? So there's definitely exceptions to that one. But I think like when we get to this portion of the season, that's why, like literally what we're talking about with that double is you see what happens with the Chiefs when people try to double team one of these dudes. The other dude just goes berserk. So, I mean, if I'm going to start reading and I'm start finding out that there might be a double team there, this is a great live betting situation. If you see on the first possession that Jamar Chase is getting doubled, I would absolutely throw a bomb on T. Higgins to go absolutely berserk in this game. If they're going to double team Jamar Chase, I will live bet T. Higgins like bankrolled. Because if they're going to double, T. Higgins is going to get probably that dude who got head nodded to the ground on the backside. So Jeff says, Tyrann Mathieu is only 29, crazy old and past his prime. Says me, he's eating chips on my couch. Great comment. A great comment. I like that. Yeah, that's what I always say in UFC when I'm betting on a guy. I'm yelling at him like, do this, do this, do this. Like I'm on my couch. I'm literally drinking beers. This dude is like a world-class athlete, and I think I can control it. But I guess that's what happens when we get into when money's involved on it. But We're about 20 minutes in. We'll get to the second game here. I believe we only have two plays or one play apiece in this one. Remember, if you guys do have questions, drop it in the chat. We'll try and get to every single one of those. 49ers at Rams. I will have you, Monotone, kick us off. I'm going to assume that you're probably on the same team as last week.
Yes, I am. We're running it back with the 49ers at a great number, too. 3.5 is something I did not think would stick. I was on the initial 3.5. I was happy with it. I was thinking this probably goes to 3. Once it hits 3, it's not too hard to get to 2.5. And then once it gets to 2.5, essentially numbers just spiral down to pick'ems. That happened with the Chiefs Bills last week. I anticipated a similar trajectory this week. That did not happen. It's still at 3.5. Books feel pretty good about their Niners number, but so do I right here. I mean, I've never heard in 1 week so many times people use a win streak as a negative. Like I keep hearing people bring up like, oh, the Niners have beat the Rams so many times. Mm-hmm. They're not going to do it again. Well, what does that mean? I mean, a lot of those games were with Jared Goff, so I don't care that much, but they're 2-0 on him this year, right? They beat him at home. They beat him on the road. And they beat him in the most important game of the year, right? That punched their playoff ticket and is the reason they've made it this far. The Rams are a good team. I don't want to doubt that, but I think these teams have similar ceilings, similar floors. I think these are very similar football teams, honestly. I think this should be even. So I'll take the 49ers money line. I'll take the 49ers spread. I think they win this game outright and continue the Cinderella story to the playoffs. I'm curious what you think about this one.
Yeah, no, I'm on the other side, to be honest. I'm not going to say that the reasoning is because they beat them twice. Like that, I think that's the stupidest logic ever. Mm-hmm. Like if a team's better, they're better. Yeah. The thing that I thought was huge was just the ability for Cam Akers to be here and to be explosive. Like I believe in their last game, Sony Michel ran the ball 21 times for like 40 yards. 40 yards. And this is what I kind of related to. Is Sony Michel reminds me a lot of like in AJ Dillon, where he is not going to be cutting. He is not going to beat you to a spot. He's just going to try to roll you over. You're not going to roll over Fred Warner. You're not going to roll over Eric Armstead, right? You're not going to run these dudes over. But if I'm going to have like a scat back, like Aaron Jones type back, which Cam Akers is that explosive of a player, I think that's huge, especially on these play action plays for the Rams. Honestly, I've obviously seen what your plays are. And I think that this front seven for the Rams here have been playing extremely well until obviously the last second half of last week where they just got cooked by Brady. But usually, obviously, we bet Elijah Mitchell here a lot. We bet Jimmy G unders a lot. But usually the San Francisco 49ers, when I look at their run block advantage, they're usually in like the high 60s to low 80s. Like that's why we take these. That's why we relate it here. But the Rams have been the best run like that. That front seven has done the best against these guys in the fact that they only have like a 30% this week. So I'm curious how they're going to get this to go and what's going to happen if they like fall behind, like if they fall behind like a 7 or 10. Like the Packers didn't take the advantage, right? They didn't take advantage of when they were winning. I think that last week for Stafford, I was a skeptic on Stafford. I'm not going to say I sat here on my soapbox and trusted him. I didn't really even like the Rams that much. I thought the game was pretty even. But that game last week, Stafford being able to do what he did, I think is enough confidence for him to kind of develop this story for him because he's been a numbers guy his whole career, never had a good enough team to make this type of run. But yeah, there is that thing on my shoulder. It's like Sean McVay can't beat Shanahan. Like that's just like a mental block. But we just seen Stafford break that mental block. Why can't McVay do it here? I also like I get it. Jimmy G's had playoff experience, but there was nothing about last week that put any confidence from me in Jimmy G. I've honestly really thought about betting his unders again this week. I bet his unders last week. It was the most free money I've ever made in my life. The dude didn't have a completion till like 5 minutes left in the second quarter.
There's just some drops though. Kittle had an easy ball, like 25.
Yeah, there was drops, but in what I'm thinking here is it's the same as baseball. When you run the ball as much as they do and they don't pass, how hard is it for you to catch the ball when you haven't seen a target in 25, 30 minutes? Yeah. If you're a shortstop and your pitcher's striking out everybody or walking guys and you're just sitting there and you're just going through the motions, I would probably drop the ball too. It's cold, right? But
Yeah,
like when you're not
fair.
doing anything, and that's what the Niners want to do is if they had the ideal situation, they're not going to pass the ball. But that also, like, Kittle never drops a ball. He dropped 2 balls in that game. Like, he never drops the ball. But when you're just running and going through the motions, like, what am I even doing here? Like, obviously this is a huge game, but if the Niners try to take that set of just running the football, taking the ball out of Jimmy G's hands, I don't think that they're able to come back on this team. I think the Rams front seven is way better than the Packers front seven. It'll be able to make them pay in those obvious passing situations. Like this week, this was the biggest differential I've ever seen. Was the Niners have like a 38% run block advantage, negative 47 pass block. So they are absolutely fucked if they're behind in this game. The Packers were only, when they played the Packers were like positive like 20, and we even got pressure on them, right? And I can say we because I'm a part owner of the team. That's why I can use the word we. But the Rams, like, you can't double a guy on the Rams. You double Von Miller, all right, we'll just bring it back on the other side. Like, they have so many weapons on the front seven that I just don't think that they're able to come back in a game like this if they're there. And Jimmy G is not getting the ball out as fast as Tom Brady. That is the biggest thing to me is they're not getting the ball out fast. Jimmy G is going to run that play action because that's what they do. They're a play action offense. They're a curtain offense where you're just trying to run guys every single type of way to take your eyes off of what's actually happening. They run like the same 4 plays running the ball. It's just guy going here. You have to worry about it. But when you've seen it how many times, and you've probably seen every single one of these plays, they play each other twice already. I have to lean Rams. I have to take Rams. There's really no way around it in my mind. But I do understand Niners have been playing well. It's hard to fade them, but I just can't. If the ball's in the hands of somebody at the end of the game, Matt Stafford has led the league in fourth quarter comebacks in multiple games, multiple seasons. Obviously, it's because the Detroit Lions defense was so trash that they had to throw it every single time. I get that, but I'm going to put the ball in the better quarterback's hands, and I'm going to go with Rams if that's if we're going to only give me 3 points. I think I'm going to take the 3.
Yeah, I mean, another thing I think we should consider, right, is how many times in his career has Sean McVay been outcoached by another coach? It's not too often where he's kind of the weak link in the coaching matchup, and I think that continues this week. Like, I do think Shanahan is the better coach between the two. I know he's the better game planner between the two. I don't think there's any even debate. His in-game decision-making, we talked about it last week, it can get a little sketchy. He loves to punt. He loves to kick those field goals, not the things I'm the biggest fans of in the world. But Jimmy Garoppolo, man, he's getting a lot of hate out there too. Like, a lot of people, I think last week, if you tweeted at some point that you should bench Jimmy Garoppolo for Trey Lance in a road playoff game in the snow, I think you should not be allowed to watch football anymore. Like, I really do. Like, if you actually believe that Trey Lance was the better decision than Jimmy Garoppolo in a road snow game, then you're insane. Like, I would have bet the Packers so hard if Trey Lance stepped into that game. I'm intrigued by the potential the guy has too, but that is a terrible place to get your introduction to playoff football. So I don't know. I'm higher on these 49ers. You mentioned Cam Akers earlier. I've been really thinking about Cam Akers unders all week. They're letting him touch the ball a lot. He doesn't look very good. If you extrapolated these numbers like throughout a larger season sample size, you'd be really, really disappointed. He's touched the ball 17 and 24 times, hasn't done anything with those touches. Like you said, Sony Michel obviously struggled. Additionally, I wrote about it in my Devontae Adams article last week, but when you look at the highest rushers against the 49ers, 31 yards, 43 yards, 47 yards, 31 yards, 21 yards, 58 yards, then 41 last week in the playoff game. They're not going to beat by anyone. The Niners' run defense is legitimately insane this week, and Cam Akers looks terrible out there. So I see you putting your finger up. So
No. I'm not going to say he's going to go off. I like the unders, but it's just the fact that you have to think about it. Like, you don't have to think about it, about stopping the run when Sony Michel's back there. You're going to have time when he gets the ball.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, I'm not saying Cam Akers is going to go for 100. I'm just saying that when you have a guy there that has the ability to break stuff, you have to adjust to that. And if you have Sony Michel back there, you don't even have to worry. You don't even have to like they were stopping him for like I think they had like 4 negative plays on Sony Michel when he ran the ball, but it's just because he's not fast enough to hit that hole like he was earlier in his career. I mean, that's just kind of the way he is. But I'm seeing a lot of different sides on this, but this is the one thing I'm going to say. I believe this opened at 3, correct?
Opened at 3.5.
Yeah.
3.5, yeah.
And I have seen more people on the 49ers than the Rams. So why hasn't the line moved? Right.
Well, that's Twitter though, right? Because last week,
I mean, I've checked like Action and stuff. I saw Action had it too. But obviously that might be skewed.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm just saying last week I was getting worried too, right? I was like, the whole world is on the 49ers. And then I looked at one of those things, and by game day, the 49ers were bet way less than their opponent in both playoff games. So I think Twitter loves the 49ers, like the kind of our community in general likes the 49ers more than the public. So maybe that gets, because even that worried me last week. I was like, okay, why is the whole world on the Niners? But
that's big news too, because he was out for last
week. I noticed that too.
He's old, that up. But he's way better than the guy before. He's way better than that backup. That backup got fucked up.
I know. No doubt on that. But I was really kind of thinking about this one. I was like, are we really am I worried about a 41-year-old offensive lineman coming? I don't know. He's been good this year. I don't want to, argue too much about this guy, but I was kind of, the guy's 41 years old, give him a break.
Yes, this is kind of, I'll just go and I'll lead into my play here. I believe we both have one, right, in this one?
Yep.
I'll go first here. I like OBJ. I like Cooper Kupp's matchup. I'm about to talk about it here in a second. And this is actually why I'm taking my prop, because the Rams can't run. That is why I am taking this play. I'm taking Matt Stafford over 23.5 completions. I think this is an absolute steal of a line here because of pretty much everything you've said positive about the Niners is going to lead me into this. We're going to have right here Cooper Kupp with a 94% matchup advantage. Beckham has a 56% matchup advantage. Higbee even is going to have a 30% matchup advantage, which is pretty high for a tight end. In this, Kelsey has a 50. So obviously that's going to be way higher than him, but it's only 20%. So Higbee is going to have a nice matchup there as well. And we know that the strength of this defense is the run game for the 49ers. I think that early McVay tries to get it going, but once it gets happening here, the reason why these guys could never move on was because they had Jared damn Goff in the team on this team. You're going to show off your shiny new toy when you're trying to make this push here. This is why they went and got him. This is the game why they went and got him. They're not going to let this be like Stafford throws the ball 25 times. There is no way Stafford is going to throw this ball. I think his attempts line is absurd at 35.5. I love this line at 23.5. Obviously, I like the Rams to win, but even if they lose, I still like these lines. That's why I don't bet spreads. I'll bet the props because I don't care who wins. I don't give a crap who wins this game. Obviously, I think that a better story would be the Rams versus Bengals. I think that would be a great story because you obviously went and got Stafford. You paid all that stuff. You went out and got Von Miller. I mean, they sold out for this Super Bowl, right? This is their game. This is what they tried to get. I think that the attempts line at 35.5, when he's thrown 35 plus times in a game, his last 4 times he's done that, he's hit this line 3 out of 4 times. Stafford has the ability to just do these dump downs to Higbee. He's a nice security blanket. I love Higbee. DFS wise, I think he is a great contrarian play here to fade off of Kelsey, who's going to get a ton of ownership, and Kittle, who's brand name, who's going to get a ton of ownership. I like him underneath there. I also like that Van Jefferson has come into his own here so that we can have 2 guys that are deep threats to have those underneath routes actually be successful, because you can't let Van Jefferson go one-on-one outside. You have to have safety help over the top because Van Jefferson has just been cooking dudes on these deep plays. I think that helps with I obviously know the Niners know that, so they're going to have the safeties back there. So I like these dump downs. I like these dump offs. I'm not going to go with the over yards. I think that the completions and the attempts are the 2 best plays of this game, just because I like all these narratives coming together and just showing they cannot let it out of Stafford's hands in this game. You went out and got him. You paid all this money. You did everything to get him. You got rid of your excuse of Jared Goff. That was your excuse. You got rid of him. All right. Well, what do you think you're going to do here? You're not going to run the ball. You're going to maybe show it once or twice, maybe do a couple end arounds, but it's going to come down to, can Matthew Stafford beat this defense? In my opinion, I think he can. And even if he doesn't, I think he gets 24 completions.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, the secondary is the weak part of the Niners, right? And when you can't run on teams, like this happened with the Bucs all the time in the beginning of the year. Remember how guys would be like 2 or 3 completions over their season average when they were against the Bucs? 90, yeah.
Oh. Hey, it's a Rams cover, right?
Yeah, that would be a brutal game, honestly. I think that would let down a lot of people. But so I do like Stafford here. It's hard to bet against him. It's hard to make a case against him. I guess my biggest worry with completions in general would be sometimes this 49ers defense is real bad blown coverages deep downfield. I'm kind of worried, those one pass scores, 80 yards to Cup, something like that. Those kind of do scare me a little bit with completions. But besides that, I mean, you're right. I think we saw what they wanted to do last week. He threw the ball 38 times. I think we could see that very easily happening right back against the 49ers.
Yeah, and I think that's actually going to help me here is you saw what Stafford and Cup were able to do on 2 of them last week. 2 40-plus yard touchdowns or plays, one of them being the touchdown, one of them obviously setting up the game-winning field goal. You're not going to let that happen, right? If you're the Niners, you're a good enough team, you're coached well enough. Keep the safeties back and let these dump downs happen. I think these drives take a little bit longer. I do not mind the under as well. I think the under has some life here. But I think that this completion line is just – I thought it would be like 25 and a half, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like he was throwing the ball up 21 last week with like 4 minutes left in the third. That's how much they don't really want to run it, right? These teams are polar opposites, right? If they have if the Niners have their way, Jimmy G doesn't throw. If the Rams have their way, Cam Akers touches the ball like 10 times, right? Well, maybe get him into the passing game. But I just – Cam Akers being able to catch the ball as well, I think that helps me way more than Sony Michel.
100%.
I think that helps me here. Honestly, this is probably going to move up on my list. Probably going to go be a little bit higher than 1 unit after now. I'm just looking at it and talking about it and talking it out. This might be a hammer.
No, I mean, I see what you mean, actually, because you got to supplement, the run game with short passing. When you can't get the run game going, like you said, the safeties are back. You still have to slowly move the ball down the field at times. You can't always have those chunk plays. So you're definitely talking me into it, too. I mean, Stafford, it's his biggest stage. It's time for him to shine. And also McVay, like I said, I do think he's a good coach still. I think Shanahan's a good coach also, but I do think McVay's like an above average coach, and he has common sense. And what McVay has seen these last couple of weeks is teams going up, handing the ball off, punting, going up, handing the ball off, punting. And I think McVay's got to kind of he's smart enough to realize if we go up, we can't just run the ball. We did that last time. It failed. We just saw what happened when the Bills tried to do that. They failed. When you're at this level, you can't just hand the ball off and expect to win when you're up 10 or so. So even if the Rams do kind of pull ahead, like people may think they will, then I don't think they stop throwing because it's just a bad decision to at that point.
Yeah, like I said, you do all this stuff. You do all this stuff for going out and getting them and selling out for this. When it comes down to it, you are not going to take off.
Yeah.
You're not going to say, hey, I'm not going to use my shiny new toy. Like if I go buy a new car, I ain't going to sit it in a garage. I'm going to go out on that toy. I'm going to freaking go out on the town. Guess what? Stafford's getting this ball. He's going to chuck that shit till his arm falls off. Looking like the Lions when they're down 27 in the second quarter. That's what he's going to look like here in this second half, I think. Yeah, and we'll get to your play right here, giving us another plus money play here.
Yeah, so speaking of teams kind of selling out to get that nice shiny piece, we've got a guy that they acquired in the middle of the year, Von Miller, someone who a lot of us maybe thought was going to retire with the Broncos. He's already a playoff vet. He's a guy that knows his role and really does it better than almost anyone else in the league. I collabed on this one on Twitter with V-Money Sports. He was on the show. Appreciate you coming in, Jeff. But yeah, V-Money was on the show. We were talking about it in DMs yesterday. We both really liked this one. I mean, Von Miller's really made his name so far. He has a sack in 6 straight games, first off. So he gets traded midseason, adjusts for a game or two. then just rolls off 6 straight sack games. That's obviously great. One of those games was against the 49ers, and this sack was big too. He had a huge fourth quarter sack on Jimmy Garoppolo. That was when they were driving. It looked like the Niners might come back, and then Miller just nails him, completely killed the momentum. I thought it might have been what actually ended the season for the 49ers. They got back into it and ended up winning that game. But Miller has a huge role on this team. His pass rush is very necessary. You do want to get pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo. Aaron Donald is the huge name. Everyone's going to be focused on slowing him down. I think Miller's going to get a lot of run. If you don't have sacks, tackles is an option too at 3.5 on some books. I might double down and also play tackles just because the 49ers run so much and that linebacker core is kind of depleted. I think we even could see Miller on a little bit more run stopping assignments just because he's going to be out there so much. He's just a big game player, 2 sacks in 2 playoff games, huge career in the playoffs. I think this is where he shines. They traded for him for this moment. Von Miller knows he is on this team to win a Super Bowl. I think there's a pretty good chance that him to get a sack in this game. For him to get that at plus money, we'll take it. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, how many years? I mean, obviously it was a bit ago, but Von Miller was an MVP in the Super Bowl, right? He did that well in big moments. Like, you don't see many defensive guys like that, right? There's not many defensive guys you can be like, at this moment, they're going to make a play. Like, you like assume it's going to happen. You know, it's like, I need this guy to go down the field in this amount of time. Who do I trust? Like, obviously, it'd be like Mahomes and Allen right now. Obviously, possibly Rodgers at some times. Like, you're going to say that. I expect that to happen. I expect Von Miller to get a sack. I expect Aaron Donald to show out, right? I also expect Eric Armstead to show out here too. Big guys make big plays at big times, right? That's what everybody says. I say that even to college guys when I coach and stuff. It's like, if you want to be the best, you got to show out when everybody's watching, and that's really when it's going to be here in the playoffs. And I think that this is a great line. I can't believe they're giving you plus money on it. So
yeah, I mean, I think the way you said it's great, honestly. I'm perfectly in on Miller. I think the way you said it's great. I expect one. It's not like I'm flipping a coin here. Von Miller does this. This is what's got him paid throughout all the years. This is why he's on the Rams this year. You know, I think it's a great spot. Like you said, that offensive line is pretty good, but that pass blocking advantage is not so good on those passing downs. That's when Von Miller's going to be in there. He's going to be in there on those 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 7s. He's going to be the guy in Jimmy G's face on those snaps. So I'm real excited. I think I might have to go even more on this one. You know, I either going to double up on tackles or going to go to sacks, but I mean, it's a big game. I think it's time for Miller to kind of show out here.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say about this one is like last week he played Brady. He's a frustrating matchup for sacks because the dude just throws it in like 0.5 seconds.
Yeah.
Jimmy G ain't like that. Jimmy G is going to run a lot of play action. You can get backside coming over with Von Miller. Jimmy G ain't going to get by him. He ain't going to run by him. He ain't going to extend the play that much, right? I've seen him try to extend play. I've watched a lot of Niners football for fading Jimmy G. Like, I've literally made a lot of money fading Jimmy G this year. This man rolling anywhere, like if he's rolling to his left, which Von Miller will be coming this way, coming off his backside, his blind side, anytime he wants to go to the left side, that dude cannot throw going that way. Like, him trying to turn his shoulders back is the most cringy thing I've ever seen. I'm like, because I'm on attempts under, so I want him to get sacked. And he does, like 90% of the time he rolls that way. So I really like it. I think this play is absurd to give me plus money at this. So I think we're going to sweep this game pretty easily, to be honest. I actually feel very confident in it.
Yeah, first time going on the defensive side of the ball on the show too. So hopefully we come up with a winner on that one.
I hope you're right. Honestly, I don't even know. Like, I'm 50-50 on if I just want them to just like sell out, because there's so many dudes we owe money to right now that they can't hold on to everybody.
You mean you owe money to, right?
Oh, no, I don't owe no money to nobody. But yeah, no, Rodgers is going to be like it's going to be interesting because he's just been so negative in the stuff. So I'm curious what they're going to do. But we got to the best part of the show. Unfortunately, this one isn't as big as our usual long shots. But there's only 2 games, right? So we're going to have to do it this way. And the tough part about it is if we're going to do it, we can't really do 4 because we only have 2 games, so you're going to have to same game parlay them. So it's tough unless you have FanDuel.
Yeah.
So, like, we went with the same game here. We'll have you start out with Kelsey. I mean, it's pretty obvious, I guess. You can kind of talk about it, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of like last week, right? We expect the pros to be pros in these big situations. It's why I went to Henry last week. You went to Adams last week. It's kind of the same logic right here. Travis Kelce is the guy, especially in the red zone. I mean, this team finds so many creative ways for Travis Kelce to get the ball. Obviously, we know Andy Reid. This is like his favorite time of the year. He gets to pull out all those like Madden plays that he tried out on his, Xbox over the summer. He always comes to the playoff with like at least 3 or 4 random like end zone trick plays. Kelsey's normally pretty involved in them. I mean, Kelsey's the one that started that whole trend that every other team copied where the quarterback fake rolls out and then tosses it into the tight end. That whole trend was started by Andy Reid and Travis Kelce. So, like I said, Kelsey's had a touchdown in both playoff games. He had one against the Bengals. You guys know Travis Kelce scores touchdowns a lot. I don't really need to tell you that much, but just when looking at the slate, I kind of want to even just make it a regular play, even for half a unit. I really do think Kelce gets in the end zone right here. Maybe I'll find something to match it with to bring it down a little bit. It's at minus 125 on FanDuel is what I saw. So, yeah, I like Kelce to score a lot. I think it's not very complicated. Even in the bad game he had earlier, he still had a touchdown. Like, he didn't even play well against the Bengals, mostly because they got ahead and just kind of didn't care anymore. But he still even had a touchdown in that game. So, hard to argue against a Kelce touchdown, honestly.
Yeah, no, and I'm getting plus money on Jamar Chase at plus 100. Did we just forget he scored 3 touchdowns on these dudes like 3 weeks ago? Like, you're giving me a plus money on this. Jamar Chase can make anything happen at any time. We've seen it against the Titans. Like, I almost forgot that he was playing against the Titans for a quarter and a half because he just didn't touch the ball. He had one catch for like 50 yards on that bubble screen and then just didn't touch the ball. All of a sudden, he wakes up. I end up looking at the stats at the end of the game. He ends up with 140. Obviously, it doesn't take much for Chase. It takes an inch of room. The thing with Kelce, too, is who do you think they're looking for in the red zone? A super fast guy and Tyreek Hill? Or are you going to look for the biggest dude out there who's going to be able to body up any single team matchup? If they're not going to double team Kelce in the red zone, it's easy money. If they're not going to double team Chase in the end zone, it's easy money. I think the smashes, I think that even getting almost 3-1 on this is pretty absurd, seeing as how much these guys are targeted. I mean, the Bengals almost do better when they're not in the red zone because Chase gets these touchdowns from 25, 30 yards out. Like, I bet you Chase I'd like to look up the stat, but has probably more 20-plus yard touchdowns than he does under 20-yard touchdown. Like,
Yeah, no.
I'd be curious to see that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I was going to bring up something very similar. My buddy Sammy Capper Bets on Twitter, another great Twitter follow. We were both on Chase longest reception, and he posted the stat. Right, Chase has gone over his longest reception in 11 games this year, and in 8 of those 11 games, his reception was actually over 40 yards. So, like, that kind of tells you if this guy's catching like 40-yard passes in most of these games out here, that's a real good shot at a touchdown. There aren't too many spots on the field where you can catch a 40 or longer, yard pass and don't either instantly put yourself in the red zone or you're, in the end zone. So yeah, Chase is just the guy, man. It's really hard to make a case against these two guys. I've given you some Cameron Brates over the last couple weeks. It hasn't quite worked out. We're really doubling down here on the favorites,
Yeah, so we got 2 questions in here, not really fully prop related, but we have Ethan dropping one in here. I'll answer the next question. I'll have you answer this, Monotone. DK has a teaser in the conference specials for biggest winning margin, under 14.5 or over 14.5. Do you see any of these guys getting blown out in this conference championship weekend?
That's good. That's a really interesting market available. I like that. I'd have to do some research on the past margin of victories between, playoff conference. Like, I wonder how often it happens. It goes over this. I would lean under though at first look. Minus 130 isn't fun, but I mean, the 49ers are so slow, right? They're so slow. They really keep the game at a slow pace, so it's hard to blow them out. It's just they control the ball for so long. Same on the other side. The Bengals can get blown out, but that offense is so explosive that a backdoor cover, is always possible.
Always. That was exactly what I was going to say. I don't see a person getting blown out in the Rams game. Like, in my mind, I do not see that as 14-plus points. On either side. I don't think either side can win by 14-plus points in this one. It's a conference championship divisional opponent. I don't see a blowout. In the Bengals, I even talked about it with the teasers. I talked about it with the teasers. I would take the Bengals plus 14 if I had that teaser option. If I had an option between those two, so I would definitely lean that way. Right here, Jason's asking our strongest lean of the options here. I think what I'd probably roll with is probably the over in the Kansas City one. I think if I had an option of these one, I'd probably roll with Kansas City team total because I trust that part of the offense more than I trust the Bengals offense against the front seven of Kansas City with how bad their blocking has been. But that obviously doesn't mean I don't think they're going to score. I'd say team total for Kansas City, along with the over in that game if you can't get that option.
Yeah, for me, it's San Francisco plus 3.5. That's my strongest bet out of all those because I actually have bet that so far more than any of the rest. So, yep. And you can fast forward for earlier our argument.
What is our best strategy for using a $20 free bet? I mean, it depends. I mean, are you trying to hit a home run? Are you trying to just make easy money? Honestly, I think that using a free bet, I think the best way to do it is probably doing a touchdown, going for a touchdown guy. I think that if you just pick like I said, Jamar Chase, you get 20 free bucks in your pocket if he scores a touchdown. I think that's the best way to use it. I think it's the most fun way to use a free bet, unless you're throwing like freaking $5 or $20 on a first basket, or you're throwing $20 on a crazy thing. Like, I know it's been getting a lot of traction on Twitter. I'm just not I get it. People like it. People like the big numbers, but it's not sustainable. Personally, I don't bet them.
Yeah, so I would say I can try to give you an answer. I think I can give you a solid one, but my recommendation instead would just be do a quick Google search. The guys at Odds Jam, there are a lot of guys that really do break down the math and give you like actually the best way you can maximize these free bets. I don't get offered them anymore. I don't know about you, if you ever did even. I don't really get any, so I don't consume any of the content, but a lot of people do make great videos on how to kind of get the best value, the best expected value out of these. And it normally is playing multiple parlayed plus EV legs. So you want to get those odds up because it's a free bet. But yeah.
I 100% agree, Ethan. That is the exact reason why. Because, I mean, I'm not going to just like bash it, but like you'd be surprised at how many messages I get in my DMs about like these crazy parlays and they've lost a bunch of money on these parlays. I'm like, dude, for you to hit one of those big ones, you have to bet like 25 to 30 of them a night. Like you can't just like how many of these guys are hitting one and hitting one only? Like there's no way you're only playing one and hitting one. Like same thing with DFS. When you see the winners of these are putting in 150 lineups. They're running an optimizer, right? That's why they're professionals at it, right? I mean, for you to hit a FanDuel, like I'll do a FanDuel, but the only ones I play are up to 3 entries. That's the only ones. I'll never play those. I'll play a Millie Maker like for fun. Like I expect that money to be burned. I don't expect to make money on it, right? I mean, it's just a fun way for me to spend like $6. Me like, hey, I have a chance at $1 million. I could wake up and be a millionaire. But like, I don't expect it ever. Top 3, you only go with the top 3 lineups, right? That's the only way. I don't do it the other way. Yeah. Oh, exactly. A plus 10,000 first basket first score at the parlay. Good calls. Thank you very much. I definitely agree. I think the under is the play in that Rams-Niners game. I think that Niners team, like if you watched that Packer game last week, that was the most boring game of all time. It's so slow.
I was fired up. Okay, I knew it was going to be boring.
It's just so slow. The Rams aren't going to be in any hurry either. So I don't really see there's not much room for error in that type of game.
Yeah, for me, it's just you got to just find those little things to enjoy. With the 49ers, they do so much fun stuff, man. It's ignored because of how much boring stuff they do. Like they like to run the ball, but think about like no other team does the shit that they do, man. With Deebo Samuel, with George Kittle, I mean, they have one of the best receiving tight ends in the NFL, and they just told them, hey, just block for the next 4 weeks because that's the only way we're going to make the playoffs. You just can't do anything. You have to only block, and he did it. No other team's doing that with those guys. So you got Trent Williams in motion on those plays behind Elijah Mitchell. Those are fun. You gotta find the little things to enjoy with the 49ers football.
Like Chris Hansen on Dayline NBC, it's never their first time. I'm going to guess that's on the long parlays there. Sheeb, right? I think that's how John said it last week. He said it was right.
Yeah.
I would not do that.
I was gonna say. So last week's was fun. There was so many good quarterbacks. It's harder this week now. Is
you have Jimmy
G gonna get
Garoppolo on the
Yeah,
roster. There's no chance.
I'm immediately saying no to the Jimmy G leg. Mahomes and that side is much more likely to do it, right? The Mahomes and it's tough. I'm passing. I thought it was real fun last week. I thought it was real good. I think you messaged me about this on Twitter too. I thought about it. I was thinking about how to best reply. I'm probably just gonna say if you want to do that, I would just same game parlay, Burrow and Mahomes. I think that's way safer than going to this other game. Stafford and Jimmy G to both get 300 is tough. I'm gonna probably rule that one a no for me.
The thing is, though, is I love John. I love that parlay. I loved all of it. But you take away those two bombs to Cup, he's at like 260.
True.
Right? And you'd think that the Niners are better coached than the Bucs, right? And that secondary has been like their decimation all like the last 2 years, right? That's the only time the Bucs give up anything is on the pass. And the dude literally blew that coverage. That was 75-yard touchdown. Cup gets a 50-yarder there. He ends up with like 360. The line looks great, but 125 of those are on 2 plays there. So, I mean, there was a lot of things that had to go right to hit that. And I get it. It was a great play. I loved it. I love that John cashed it. But, yeah, there's just a lot of things that went into it that I think that I would probably not do that one. Yes, I love that. I love that because it gives me the option of having Burrow to get 350 and Mahomes only 260. I think that's the best one. That might be a collab play on the show right now.
What, with you and Ethan?
No, I think you nodded your head. I'm like, oh, okay.
No, sorry. Yeah, I like it too a lot. I just thought it was funny. No, those specials are always tricky. Last time I tried to post one, they just never posted the market back up again. Maybe they won't do that this time. But yeah, no, I definitely I want to look at the box scores a little bit more. But obviously, I assume it's a $50 max. One of those, I would just max it right now. Probably not even think about it. So
no, me and him. Well, message me on Twitter. We'll figure something out maybe. But I think that concludes everything. Don't see any other questions here. We'll do a quick recap. And then we'll pop off again. Drop a like if you guys are still with us. We appreciate you just clearing that hour mark. This is usually the time we try to get the quick recap in. Plus 360 on FanDuel, Brandon says. So maybe that's the place to go for it.
Oh, separately.
That's both the 300, not combined for 6. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay.
But the odds still are very nice, so that's something to consider.
Let's run through yours quick. You have 3 plays. I got 2. Let's go through yours right now.
Yep, Mixon over 27.5 receiving yards, playable up to 30.5. Chase 26.5 longest reception, play it perfectly fine at 27. It's everywhere 27 right now. Finally, Von Miller to record a sack, plus 100, half a unit play.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to be rolling with Jamar Chase over 85.5. Obviously, we both talked about him, both love him this week. I think that's a great spot. Stafford over 23.5 completions. Please, guys, this is the biggest thing I'm going to say is I put our links to our Twitters in the description. If we switch anything, like I've had one of my YouTube free plays, like Jared Allen pops out, I'll just immediately quote tweet it to the next pivot, right? I usually will pivot. So if there's a pivot or if I'm going to add units, like I'm probably going to add units to that Stafford, please follow us over there. Like we do these videos twice a week, but we're posting free plays every single day, every single night over on Twitter. So make sure you follow us. I have both of our links to our Twitters in the description. I'm guessing most of you guys do already. But just for those that are not following either one of us, make sure to do that just so you can get some more value from us than just 2 times a week. And then our last thing here is our touchdown parlay, 3-1 only. I'm hoping that the Kelsey gets like minus 110 so we can get to plus 300. But yeah, I think it's still even close to 3-1. This is insane. I think this value is crazy. But yeah, anything you want to say, Monotone, before we pop on out of here tonight?
It's been a good season so far. We're running, lower and lower on time, but I think we got another good slate of picks out today. We've got Wednesday coming up, obviously. I'm probably gonna have some NBA tonight. It's a pretty good slate too. So
Very nice.
like you said, make sure to follow on Twitter, obviously, and just keep, liking the videos, sharing it with your friends, all that stuff. It's appreciated. We don't ask for it too much, but get those numbers up. It does look good. We would appreciate that.
Yeah, we do it for you guys. We do it free. We do it just because we love to do it, right? Again, we're kind of in the works of once football season's done, what we're going to do with it after. I think we have plenty of good ideas. So Pass the Prop will not be going anywhere. Thank you, Ethan. Appreciate your you popping in here and helping us out there. So Pass the Prop's not going anywhere. We're going to keep rolling. Obviously, we have – outside of NBA and NFL, we both have our other strengths in other sports. And I'm very, very happy to kind of keep it moving. Good deal. Thank you so much for doing what you do, guys. I love the show. I wouldn't mind seeing you guys more often. Yeah, maybe that's the next step. Maybe we figure out something in the future. I know it's kind of a busy time for both of us here, kind of with our other stuff, but maybe we do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday type of thing. Maybe we throw it in once in a while, like a space or something. We tried doing those too. So again, another reason to follow us over on Twitter. Monotone, quick one. Answer the last question of the day, and then I'll say my last words here for the show.
Yeah, I'm on the 49ers, so I would disagree with the Rams leg. Cup and Debo, I think, are pretty safe. Debo hasn't hit that in the last two games, obviously, but it's kind of hard to believe that he'll go three straight. You know what I mean? The guy's a good receiver. He's one of the best in the NFL. So I do think Debo receiving yards is good. I do think Cup has another good game. I was looking at longest reception as a possibility. Where you lose me is the Rams. I do think the Niners win this game, but I do like the other legs. I think they're solid.
Yeah, you probably get even like I don't, like we said, we know no one thinks that they're going to get blown out. So maybe you take the Niners, tease them up to like 10.5. I'm sure it would still be like plus 400 with you on all the other things. Maybe that's the best way to attack this one. I'd like the Rams to win. I don't know if they cover the 3.5. I think it's going to be a tight game, slow pace. In those slow pace games, same as NBA, I don't like taking spreads when the pace is slow. I want fast paced teams if I want a big spread. And that's just kind of something there. That's just kind of a natural thing there. Yeah, I do baseball every single day. Do you do a lot of baseball?
I dabble, but you might see a little bit more come this year. We'll see what happens,
Yeah, baseball's the easiest one for me to talk about. Like I said, I've told everybody on here before I coached college baseball. Like there's a lot of different things in it that I can tell you guys about it. It's not my best betting ones, like my best betting percentage go into college basketball and NFL. But baseball is the one I'm the most knowledgeable about. It's going to be one that's a lot easier on here. And we talked about maybe you doing golf stuff on here as well. My boy Zalatoris is cooking right now. That top 5 is looking fantastic. He is -5 through 9. He is 2 strokes behind. 30-1 come my way. And I did hedge out with John Rahm. I got him at plus 150 today, or I think late last night, or late in his time last night when he is still like 2 strokes behind. So I have a plus 150 ticket for a full unit, and I have a quarter on 30-1 on Zalatoris. So let's go, Zalatoris.
You also have Rose, right? He's -4 today too. You guys are rolling right now.
Yeah, I have a nice little one here. I have Xander to beat Taylor Gooch today. He's up 2 strokes. I have Berger over Matsuyama in round 3 matchups as well. He's up 4 strokes. So should have a good day. I hedged out kind of a little bit too on Dustin Johnson to beat Zalatoris today. So I'll take the L on that one because he's moving him up there. But I thought Dustin would do a little better. He's even today. I was watching that beforehand. But all right, guys, we're heading out. Time to go. Clearing an hour again. Even with 2 games, we find a way to get you guys a full hour. You got anything else for the people, Monotone, before we get out of here?
Nope. Good to go, man. It's fun doing it. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys Wednesday. Make sure you do tune in on Twitter. We might have a spaces rolling up or something like that over these next couple of days for you guys to pop in. So thank you guys so much. Peace out from Pass the Prop.